So today in the mail comes a box that I've been waiting for a few days. My good friend, I'm gonna just go do the background to this. I was at Larry DeTuri's, which is on the Windy Channel, and we saw a Ducati, I believe it was, or maybe it was more than one, that had been wrapped with clear wrap. And I thought, well, you know, there's things I could use protection on. Number one, and I won't go through all of them, but an example is the front of the bike that takes a beating in the winter. Another thing, that the seat, when you pick your foot up with a riding boot, a lot of times you scratch it, and mine is scratched already. I've painted it over. The front behind the front wheel. Now, the point that I'm making is there are various uses for this material. I wanted to get a sample. Dave, because he's in this kind of a business, got me a sample so I can experiment, because I don't know what the material is. But in the meantime, being the smart guy that I am, I went to YouTube and looked up all these. The guys are wrapping cars and wrapping bananas and wrapping things to make them look like carbon fiber, which, well, we don't have to do it because we make things out of real carbon fiber. So we don't need fake carbon fiber. But anyway, the clear, I thought, would have a lot of uses. I don't know what they are yet. But I thought what would make a funny video, a good video, in fact, would be, here, I've never used the material. I have watched the videos. I don't really have all the material I need, the little sponges and everything. But I thought I'd give it a try, and do it with the camera running so you could see how funny it is when you get your hands stuck and everything. And what I'm saying is that a lot of people would not want to try something. They would watch somebody do it on YouTube, and sometimes the videos on YouTube can be a little deceptive. They use camera cuts and stuff to make it look like, well, they dropped something on the floor, they cut that out. Well, we don't do that. We leave the funny stuff in. And this may be real funny once I get this box open. So let me open up the box and see what Dave has sent us. And I always get a kick out of it because I watch it with Miles, these unboxing videos where they unbox Hot Wheels or toys or whatever. Well, this is an unboxing. Now what makes this interesting to me is I've never used this material. So, and I'm very challenged by having some new material that, okay, we can use this box for something. I don't know what though. But here's the roll of material, and it's probably going to be pretty funny as I start to use this. I don't know how much material's here, but this is what would happen if you were a novice and this was the first time you had ever seen this material or used it. You would have to pretty much do what I'm doing and get, first of all, it would be, oh, it's 3M material, so it's usually pretty good quality. Anything I have 3M is usually pretty good. But there's apparently 3 major manufacturers and 3 different glosses. So this was my concern. I know modern people like things flat black and whatever. I don't. I like everything shiny, period, shiny. The street you ride on should be shiny. Everything should be shiny. The bedspread should be shiny. So, but here's the point. I don't know when I put this over another part. I have to get a test part. See, what I have to do is find something to experiment with, something simple, and then work up from there to something a little more complicated, Now, first thing I noticed, I'm not going to be able to use my normal work table because this is a padded table. And this is very sticky material. It's going to pick up all the lint off the table. So the first thing I have to do is improvise a table, wash it down. I could probably do this in a kitchen if Karen wasn't home, because there's no smell, there's nothing bad about this. And then I need to find a little test part to do a little experiment on. So I thought it might be worth trying. I took the baby's table, folded up the legs. It gives me a table. Now there's no lint on this. I just put it over the padded table. Now, if you've ever had or worked in a machine shop, you know the hardest part of most jobs is how do you hold a part? Well, I have a feeling we're going to have the same problem with this. How do you, unless you have a helper, and I never have a helper here. Now, the first thing I want to try, and again, I know this is going to be a skill set I have to develop, but I thought I'd share the failures as well as the, I wanted to have a smooth flat can to begin with. I cut a little piece of material. I don't have the right, I have to get the right one. And I just haven't had time to get it. We've had a pretty busy day here. day, week, month, year. I do have to get it. The material comes in three pieces. So the first thing is to get the outer layer off, much like a vinyl decal. And see, my concern is I wanted to see how shiny this material was, because if it isn't shiny or if it scratches easily, well, it'll have a lot less uses. And the two ways I've seen on the video, people do put it down dry. I'm going to try that first. Now, to be honest, the material doesn't look that shiny. Let me just drop it in place. Of course, we want to be able to go around curves and stuff. Let me see how this lays down relative to... And since I'm not doing a real part, it won't matter. I need to get this from place Midgley gave me the address. I just haven't had time to do it. Okay, so when you do press it down, it gets more clear. I guess that's a function of the glue. I'm not sure. Let's see if this made any difference. I'm not sure. And of course, the problem with just like putting vinyl decals on is always to get out all the air bubbles, and number two, not scratch it. But I'm not sure putting it on dry is going to be the answer. And before I do a real part, and a part that well, let's see if this makes any difference. I've had both a hair dryer and a heat gun. I had a heat gun. They say you can make this stretch in every dimension infinitely. Take it up and it resumes its shape. Now, because we're doing clear, and that's the focus of what I want to do, the objective is going to be how clear is clear. Is it foggy? Is it clear? Is it really clear? And what can we do to make it? Can you buff it out? Is there anything you can realistically do? And this is the thing, a new person, and this is why it's worth sharing this video, even though it may be a little boring to watch. I want to see how clear is clear. Now the problem is, and I'm looking at this carefully, it's definitely not as clear as buffed out paint would be, but of course we're looking for protection here. Let me try this one more time. Let's just see what gives with this. I wanted to see also, let me try this. I have a little, just ordinary water. Again, whenever you have a new material, the best thing is to just do some little tests like this of the material before you jump into wrapping your Rolls Royce or your whatever. Let's see how that works. I do have to get the right spatula before I do some real parts. But this will be a good little learning experience for me. And I thought, there's a lot of people that have not done this kind of work, where they've experimented with new materials, and I know Dave has. I know several of my friends have that are in the world of modeling. The carbon fiber work we did years ago, you had to just do a lot of tests before you made a propeller or whatever. Now, that certainly with the water, that laid down a lot. See, these are the things you learn really quick. The part with the water laid down a lot shinier. I actually can see the difference in the amount of reflection I have in the part that went over water. And of course that helps you get out the air bubble. So we've learned something 5 minutes into this. And I would highly suggest, if you're interested in this, you call up the company. There's 3 major companies. You can just Google how to wrap a car or whatever on. I think Midgley, I'm sure Midgley got this from 3M. But here's the other point. This material comes various thicknesses, various finishes, there's stuff made for car bras that real thick. I don't know if we could use that. But so the first thing I've seen here that really looks significant to me is that, again, it's all on YouTube already. I just like to do my own testing. I'm just old school. Oh, a whole lot better. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the video. And this is the side we did with the water. This is the side we did just, and there's all little air bubbles, and this side is a lot smoother, a lot more like what I would want the part to be. So maybe that's part of the first initial thing to learn, is get used to using the water. So now a second little thing to learn here. Again, this may be really boring for some people, but when you have a new material you've never used yet, believe me, this will save you a lot. I'm just going to try a better way to hang these. That's always a problem here. Because the side that we didn't use water on, well, it's not as shiny, first of all. So what I'm going to try to do, see if this works for me. And I don't know how many times you can do this before the glue is not active. Maybe you can do it infinitely, I don't know, but we're going to find out. I'm going to peel this back, the part that we didn't use water on. In fact, I pulled the whole thing back. That's not a bad idea. I'll take a little bit of this ordinary water. Now, when you put it over the water, of course, it just slides around, but what it allows you to do I remember when we were working with carbon fiber in the very beginning and getting carbon fiber to make those tune pipe exhausts, you could never get it to lay down exactly right without a wrinkle and whatever, and there were so many little tricks. And by the way, all those videos are out on the airplane channel. Now, here's something, next thing I've learned, that with the water, what I'm looking for, the shine is just nicer, the overall, for sure. Now, I wouldn't say it definitely, it's probably 80% of what buffed out paint is, but in a case where you're looking to protect something, I'd say that's 80% of what a buffed out piece of paint would look like. So here is our first part, and I'm not sure you can even see the difference, and I can see the difference. The can is not real shiny, where we've put our little piece of material, relatively nice. Now, I know this, the little, I call it a spatula, the little squeegee for laying this down. I know I've got to get the right squeegee. That's number one. That's going to be not the first issue of this whole thing, but before I do a professional part, but I thought this would be a good thing to share on video. This was my first day just playing with the material, and I'm interested to see when I start doing more complex shapes and things. I wanted to, if I have enough material, to do the FZR windshield, but day one, we learned something worth sharing, and we're going to pursue this in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and thanks for watching.